Hello, friends. Hope you all are doing great and taking enough care in this pandemic. So, today's topic for discussion is sports injury types and first aid. Okay, so first, injuries, sports specific injuries. What is sports specific injury? So, when you play a specific sport, you have to do particular movement in a repeated manner. Let it be running and changing direction, or twisting and turning your back, or swimming, your shoulder movements. Because of those repeated movements, you get certain kind of injury more in particular game. That is what we call sports specific injuries. So whatever sports you're playing, you should be aware about the sports specific injury. So according to that, you can take care in your exercise program. Next, now, sports specific injury prevalence. Prevalence means how frequent is the occurrence of particular injury or particular part injury, a body part injury. In this graph, you can see a very colorful graph. You can see in baseball, bicycling, basketball, soccer and football, and there are different parts. Each color represent a body part. Head is orange, facial, then shoulder purple, finger is green, ankle red and knee blue. So you can see majority game is having more occurrence of knee injuries. Okay, then you can see ankle is very frequent. After that, finger and shoulder as well. So you get a particular idea which part is more prone to get sports specific injuries or injuries in general. What will happen, once you get injury, how to handle this? So this is what you should remember. Police. So each alphabet denotes one procedure. P means protect that part. You should not put extra stress on that part. You should if it is necessary, do padding, tie crepe bandage, or necessary plaster if you suspect fracture. Okay, then OL is for optimal loading. So previously what people used to think that you should not load injured part, but that's wrong, because prolonged time of immobilization or inactivity gives you a reduction in strength or makes your part weak. So what you have to do, you have to optimally load it. So after initial inflammation phase has done, or after injury around 4 or 5 days, if you can move, and if your trained certified sports physiotherapist is allowing you to move that particular part, you should keep moving. Do light exercises which will restore the original strength. Okay, and that way you can accelerate your rehab process. So it is very important to load that part, but optimally. Optimal is the key word. Then ice, we all know ice is always helpful. Many people ask me when to ice it and when to use hot water bag. So when you have injury, the initial incident, from that moment till next 72 hours, you can ice that part. Okay, how frequently you can ice that particular part? 4 to 5 times in a day, every time around 10 to 12 minutes. Okay, or you can say till that part become numb, you can ice that part. There are different type of ice application. What I prefer is ice application with compression, because that reduce swelling as well, and as soon as you get rid of swelling, the healing process accelerate. Now next, see, we just discussed compression, because compression helps in controlling the swelling. And then elevate. You should always elevate that injured part. That will again help to reduce the swelling, because you have to get rid of that swelling as soon as possible. Now this all things will help you to recover fast. Next, what you should not do. heat. So initially you should not apply it. Okay. Alcohol, so whenever you are under rehab or if you are nurturing a particular injury, you should not consume alcohol. Running, because running put in general stress on your body, so you should avoid that. Massaging, if you have injury due to trauma, you should avoid direct massage on that particular area. Okay, so these four things you should not do to avoid any harm. Now we have seen optimal loading. Initially, you have a two type of injuries. First is a direct contact injury. So there is an incident and there is something called as uh, overuse injury. What is overuse injury is like you were experiencing pain but it was not that intensified, but slowly with third week of practice, with fifth week of practice, that pain gradually increased. So that is usually due to the mismanagement of load. So you should understand what is load. There is something called as acute load, that means today's load or yesterday's load, or what you can say is like a this week load. Okay, load means whatever you are doing, your traveling can be your load, your practice sessions, your gym sessions, your swimming session, everything you can take it as a load. Whatever activity puts stress on your body or on your system is kind of a load. In fact, tension is also a load, stress is also a load on your body. Okay, then chronic load means when you are under load for more than 4 weeks. Okay, then we count it as a chronic load. And optimal load is the load which your body can successfully take, means it is the load when you're putting on your body can completely recover and will adapt on a positive way. Okay, so you have to be well versed with this words, that acute load, chronic load and optimal load. Now next, how you will manage this load, because majority of the injuries if we see, it's because of overload or what you say overuse. So you have to be very particular about load management. So first thing is, what is your previous fitness level? I have seen many people registering themselves for online training, but you know what, there is a one what you say disadvantage in this, that the trainer is not well versed with what is your fitness level right now. Okay, so they will give basic program according to them, like what they think is basic for you, but you have to be very thorough and careful while practicing those things, because you might end up with injury. So make sure that you are well versed with your previous fitness level and you are making your trainer also aware about it. Okay, your any previous injury, your underlying medical treatment or any other stuff, your sleep quality, your diet, everything, because if you are telling them all the factors, they will be able to help you in a better way. Now training spacing, so I have seen many people doing morning session, any sports session, cricket session, bowling session or tennis session, then afternoon they are training gym training, and then evening again they are going for a run. It is okay if you are loading your body in a systematic way, but if you are doing it just because now you don't have anything to do, it is very wrong, because training spacing is very important, because in that space your body is gonna recover and gonna be prepared for the next loading session. So if you are not giving that particular time, it is very difficult for your body, if it is very difficult for your body to recover and give your best. Okay, now what you will do that your body will recover fast? First is sleep. I have seen many people, they are like, I can sleep like 4-5 hours and I can recover. What is your criteria for recovery? Okay, so you should see your mental fatigue, you should see your urine color, everything, because that everything counts as a recovery. Your sleep, quality of sleep, not only the quantity, not how many hours you slept, but also the quality. Was it disturbed sleep or it was a sound sleep? Okay, then diet is the major part. I think your body is like a machine. Whatever raw material you're giving your body will show it to you. So if you're giving it good, nutritious, proteinous food, your body will sustain for a longer time, longer training session that way. But if you're not eating good, you're eating roadside food or what you say street food, your body is not gonna sustain for longer time. Whenever I see, because I've seen many people like ye to kuch bhi khata hai, he eats everything but still his fitness level is good because the other factors are working hard for him, but you don't know like how long he will sustain that way. Okay, so it's always better to take care of your body, and everyone's body is different, so you should not compare your body with anyone else. I will tell this to parents as well. Now next is hydration. Hydration is important. How you can monitor hydration? You can just see your pee color, and it should not be too yellow or dark yellow. That means you are underhydrated. You should drink water, and anything excess is also not good. I have seen many people drinking water every 15 minutes, every 15 minutes. That is also not good. If you are thirsty, drink. But in rainy season, in air conditioned room, it is very unlikely that you will, feel thirsty. In that way, you can keep alarm, or you can, keep water bottle around you. So you will get idea, or that water bottle will remind you that I have to take a sip or two, not more than that. Then other activity. Other activity could be as simple as relaxing, any hobby, swimming, anything, stretching, yoga activity, whatever you like, or you can mix match every day, you can change according to that. Okay, now next, this is IOC, that is International Olympic Committee, what they are recommending for recovery. So first they say number of matches, sleep hours. Okay, number of matches should not be more than 2 in a week, sleeping hours should be good, and recovery is individual. Now I have seen this many time in what you say big team, a coach says that 6 hours sleep is enough for me. I am old person, so the young people will recover fast. So that logic is not applicable, or it is not scientific. Recovery takes time, and everyone's recovery is different. I told you how your fitness level is. So in team there are different type of people. Few people are training since many years. For them recovery is easy. But those who are like just joined this team, their body is not prepared for this load, and we have to give them enough time of recovery. So I request coach also that recovery is individualized. So we can see here they are also saying the recovery strategies and recovery time is individualized. You cannot use one scale for everyone. Okay, go through all these things, it is very important. Next, now I'm going to discuss few common injuries. Adolescent age, that means young age, not too young. Usually adolescent age starts from puberty, okay, till young. So it's around 13 to 17-year-old. In that, people will face stress reaction and fractures, muscle strains, fractures, then knee ligament and meniscus injury, ankle sprain, flat foot, and shoulder labral tear. Labral tear. Sorry. First we'll discuss stress reaction. Now how people will develop stress reaction? It is usually in lower body, because we put a lot of load on our lower body, and running everything, lower body is constantly interacting with ground forces. So it is like the part which is dissipating the force or body weight to the ground. If it is not supported by enough muscular strength, a patient can face stress reaction. Common site you can see in this, if we start from, let's see, metatarsal, then your ankle, navicular, then fibula, tibia, this is your lower limb bone, then thigh bone is your femur bone, and your pelvis, your hip bone. Okay, so there are chances that you will get, the majority is fibula, 23%, what you get as shin pain, fibula and tibia. These two bones are very common in stress reaction and stress fractures. The navicular bone is also very common. Few people will get stress reaction at the pelvis, and specifically for for fast bowlers they can get stress reaction in their spine as well. So what we can do is like we have to remove them from the regular training. We have to give them what you say rest, let that reaction subside, because it's a bone is the part which is involving in this injury. So we have to give extra time so bone can heal, because if bone is not able to take stress, then bone will ultimately end up in a fracture. And spine fracture and tibia fracture are more what you say difficult to handle than the reaction. So whenever if someone is facing reaction, we should stop them there and there and put them into a rehab. So give them rest, strengthen the surrounding musculature, see their technique, their biomechanic, if they require any correction in that, and then we can slowly train them into return to the sports. In some cases, I'm not saying that everyone will go back to their previous level in their particular sports. They might require change in profession or change in their role in the sports. Maybe sometime a fast bowler, due to a repetitive stress reaction and fracture, will change their bowling action, or will consider to be more of an all-rounder rather than the only fast bowler. It is not always, but there are like 4-5% of people who end up having this option. Runner, most of the runner now, running is also very popular sports. I'm sorry, I forgot that. Most of the marathon runner face this kind of injury. So ankle pain, if they are not having good ankle range, metatarsal, if they don't have proper shoes or proper weight shifting technique. So it is very important to learn how to run, okay, and how to space between their training, because it is a reaction, so it is due to repetitive stress. Our next injury is muscle strain. So there are three grades. Grade 1, you can see there is a mild inflammation. Grade 2, there is like less than half number of muscle fibers are completely torn, but this is also easy to handle. But when there is a grade 3 injury, usually you require surgery, but not in all cases, because I have been going through few research articles recently, and what they are saying, if you have a grade 3 calf, okay, tear, usually you can recover without surgery as well, but then you have to consider that option. You have to discuss with your sports physio and your orthopedic surgeon, and you all should be on the same page same page about your rehab and recovery rate. Then hamstring muscle is also very common in injury, specifically where you have a high intensity running and sprinting activities. Fractures, there are number of fractures. Usually due to infection you can have a fracture kind of thing. Then high impact twisting due to foreign particle, like ball or something hitting hard. I have seen many finger fractures, digit fractures due to season ball. So if your pain is not subsiding after 2 days also, and it is excruciating, you can't move that part, swelling is the same, it is not subsiding, you should consider taking x-ray. Ideally you should get x-ray within 24 hours, but in case if you think that it is not major but still the pain is bothering you after 3-4 days also, you should always rule out fractures. Next is knee ligament and meniscus injury. Meniscus injuries are nothing but they are like what you say, a cushion between two bones, okay, so they are always taking your impact force. Sometimes with impact you have little bit of rotation in your bone, and because of that the meniscus are prone to have injury and tear, different kind of tear. Now ligament, knee ligament, it is very famous, ACL ligament. Complete tear, partial tear or strain ACL ligament are not common in cricket or any sports which required running and change in direction while running. Okay, so when you have a ACL tear, always go for a conservative treatment first. There is no harm in that, and then if you feel that conservative treatment is not sufficient for your level of sports, then you can discuss with your sports physiotherapist and your respective orthopedic surgeon for reconstruction surgery, because after reconstruction also you have to do rehab for almost 6 to 8 months. Okay, and that is also if you are doing accelerated rehab. If you are doing normal rehab, it will take around 1 year to 1 year plus 2 months to return to normal sports activity. But I will advise you to take as much time you can, because ACL recurrent injury rates are very high. And repair of ACL, so you got ACL tear, complete tear, you reconstruct it by surgery, you have done all rehab, but somehow you were early in return to sports and you again tear the same ACL. So now you have to again repair with surgery, and then the rehab will be prolonged. So you don't need to end up in such situations. So always take extra time in your rehab. Don't be in hurry when it is ACL. Now next is ankle sprain. Ankle sprain is very common in running athletes, many kind of sports, basketball, then cricket, many. So in that case, when you get first incidence of ankle sprain and if you see it is bad, I will advise you to do proper 3-week rehab. 1 week to reduce the swelling and pain. Next week is to train your ankle with mobility and normal strengthening, and the next week is for little bit of ground reaction forces or impact forces, slight step up and with intensity, and slowly go for slow jog, change in direction. I want you to spend 3 to 4 weeks for return to sports. Though you are pain free, you can run, but still I will advise you, because first incident, if you are ignoring that, the chances of getting second ankle sprain with less impact is very high. Okay, so what will happen? You will fall into that vicious circle. So your ankle is twisting with the small impact, and every time the recovery period will be high, and that will be very difficult for you, and your ankle will become unstable. More and more unstable ankle, very less efficiency in running will impact your career. So always give respect to this injury and rehab it properly. Flat foot. I have seen many people that my kid is having flat foot, should I buy arch? Because insole and arch are very common in market. Normal trainer also, if they see your flat foot, they will blame everything, every damn biomechanical problem for your flat foot. Definitely flat foot impact your biomechanic, but if your body has already developed coping mechanism for that flat foot, you don't need to do anything for it. But if you have shin pain because of flat foot, if you have any other pathological condition, pathological means you have some issues because of flat foot, then and then only try to have your insole, because insole is something like plaster. You don't put plaster for your any other deficiency throughout your life. Okay, so the same thing with your arch. You will put insole for initial phase, but you will strengthen your foot core muscle, your arch muscles, and then you will try to get rid of that insole and try to strengthen your leg, so that flat foot is not impacting or giving you any issue. shoulder labral tear. So there are n number of injuries around your shoulder, because see, shoulder is having maximum amount of movement. So whenever you have freedom of movement, it is on account of stability. So your shoulder is highly unstable when is not supported with the surrounding muscle strength. So you have to do prehab exercises for your shoulder, and you have to respect shoulder pain. You have to do a lot of ROM, that is range of motion exercises, and it is very common. I will advise you, if you are feeling some kind of shoulder pain in gym while doing some particular activities, go and show your physiotherapist, take treatment and do those exercises as well in your gym. These are normal rehab stages. So usually you will have 3 stages: inflammation, repair and remodeling. Inflammation is the initial 4 to 5 days phase. Ideally it's a 3 days, but according to your body, your age and other diet nutritional factors, let's consider it for 4 to 5 days, and allow it to heal, rest, and then repair phase. In this you can experiment with optimal load. So how much your body can take, that is for your optimal today, then day 2, day 3, day 4, and you have to slowly progress. That is what we do in rehab. Now remodeling, when your muscle or your bone or any ligament has completely healed, but still it is not optimizing to its original, it is not as equal to the uninjured part. So you have to put a lot of stress, different direction, different kind of force, different type of contraction, and you have to train it again. Okay, so these all the usual rehab stage, but this is not that you know all these things and you can experiment. You always have your physio to do all these things. I have just explained it so you will get idea what it is. Now screening and prehab. This is new because most of the people believe that they should go to the doctor once they get injury only. So it is not that way. If you really want to get screen yourself. So what we do in screening, according to your game, as we discussed, that there are particular injuries very common in particular or specific games. So if you're in swimming, so we know what all joints and what all body parts get maximum stress out during swimming activity. So we'll screen those parts and we'll check if there is any muscle weakness, muscle imbalances, range of motion restriction, or any other muscle tightness kind of thing, and will let you know what all things are there in your body. You can do some exercises, we call it as a prehab. Okay, so when you get injury and you are doing some exercise, that is your rehab. And when you don't have any injury but you are doing some particular exercises, range of motion exercise, so in order to prevent the injury, we call it as a prehab exercises. Okay, so we will give you a prehab protocol. You can follow that. After 2-3 months of practicing that, you will come back to your physiotherapist, you will upgrade that and you will continue with that. Okay, so this is how prehab and screening work. So in that way you are minimizing the chances of getting injured, because one injury and you can lose whole season. So, and as it is athlete career is limited with all other factors as well. So with injury, it is again you are losing some time. So if you can if you can do something to prevent that, why not? So you can do prehab, mobility, flexibility, balance strengthening exercises, coordination, and lot of functional activities specific to your sports. If you have any question, please write it down in comment box. I will definitely answer that. I will love to answer. Thank you for taking time and listen to me. Thank you very much. This is my clinic, and if you have any question or would like to get consulted by me, feel free to contact. Thank you very much.